Hello. This is the lecture I was planning to give on Friday at 12, and I hope you'll still come to the session on Friday at 12, because in addition to the information I'm going to tell you about now, there'll be a lot of important information about exactly how the course is going to run. So to save time on Friday, I'm recording this lecture now, and I look forward to seeing you there, having already viewed this lecture and listened to the important information that I'm going to tell you about. The module, as you know, is Research Skills in English Language. It's a 20-credit module, and the main purpose of it is to develop your skills in independent research. In Semester 1, you have extra support in developing your independence because you'll be working with other people in a small group. In Semester 2, you'll be working individually on your own project, and the skills that you will have developed in the first year and in your group work in Semester 1 will be built on there, and you'll develop them even more. So the main focus of both semesters' work is to design and carry out a research project of your own, first as a group and then independently. And that work on those two projects provides the foundation for your final year dissertation or research project. Dissertation is half the length of a research project and carries half the credits, but in either case they're quite important parts of your final year work. So your second year is to move from the guided independent study into the more completely independent and self-motivated, self-designed research work. The skills that we're hoping you'll develop, and you've already started to do this of course, are to choose a suitable research topic, so thinking about what will actually work for a research project, learning how to identify reading that's relevant to the project, learning how to identify questions that the research will answer, learning about suitable methods to use to answer your research questions, collecting some appropriate data, analysing this data using appropriate methods, and reporting on your findings. And that sequence of knowing how to research something is a really useful model for you to get used to using over and over again, because you may well find it useful not just for your degree but subsequently, particularly if you do further study, but even in all sorts of jobs. Knowing how to find stuff out is a really useful thing to be able to do. In addition, we're helping you to develop various what are often called transferable skills. So there's group work, and within your group you need to negotiate roles, you need to negotiate interests and ideas, you need to be responsible about your individual part of the work, and you need to help others within the group. It sounds fairly easy, and as I say, it means that you've got additional support as well as working on your own. You've got other people to work with you, but you have to do all this negotiating. Sometimes you might need to compromise, sometimes you might need to fight hard for what you believe is the right way of going about things, and you have to manage people who aren't pulling their weight. Of course you can come to me if you need to, but mostly this is something where you work on your own to see how to manage as a member of a group, possibly as a leader of a group if you decide that your group needs a leader. At the same time, as I said, you're working individually, you're learning to use virtual learning tools, and this is one of them. These recorded lectures on the wiki are part of the sort of developments that we're using now, so that you don't all have to be in the same place at the same time to have the same learning experience. You're going to learn about preparing your work for presentation using something similar to what I'm doing now, but you have some flexibility about exactly how you'll do that. And you're part of the bigger group who's doing this module, so there's your small group working on your project, but there's also responding to other people and evaluating their work, not in a destructive way, but thinking about what you can learn from them as well as from each other within the group. The assessment for this module is by presentation of projects at the end of Semester 1. it's pass or fail. So long as you've done what you've been required to do and you produce your presentation showing the research work that you've done, you should pass. This means that it's a chance to learn and to take risks. You don't have to do it perfectly to pass. You don't have to be competitive and get the best mark, but you do have to do the basic work that's required in order to pass the module. And each group will need to demonstrate in their presentations at the end of semester 1 how each member has contributed to the work that went on. I hope there won't be any problems about this amongst the groups. There very often are some problems, and usually people resolve them, and that's part of learning. Your individual project report is much like the sort of thing you're already used to doing. You write up a piece of work on the research that you've done, and it's assessed in detail, building on semester 1's work, but not necessarily developing the same themes. You might do something slightly different, and that's a project report of about 3,000 words, maximum 3,000 words. So what's involved in getting this done? Well, as you know, you'll be working in groups, and these groups have been predetermined. They're groups of 4 to 5 people, and you'll work with them on Friday when we all meet up together in lecture room 5 at 12 o'clock. First thing you do is decide on a general area that you can all be interested in and can all contribute to. Then you need to, refining your ideas, put together a proposal for a manageable project, and that's about 500 words, sorry. Then you'll carry out the research together, sorting out roles and responsibilities, as I've mentioned. You'll prepare your presentation to show to the others, and we're calling this a conference. Not everyone will be able to be in the same place at the same time, but somehow we'll manage a virtual conference so that people can see the fruits of each other's labour and respond to those. And again, somehow you will need to make this presentation recorded and archived, and we'll say a bit more about how that'll work on Friday morning. And then you have the vacation to relax a little bit, and you start on your individual project in semester 2. You can be thinking about it over the Christmas vacation. So as I say, in the group work you must all have a role, you must all have something to do, and you need to think about how to divide the work up. Everyone needs to be fully involved, and everyone needs to stay that way. You do not want to be a freeloader. It really doesn't make you popular with the other people in your group, and it's not fair on them, and you know that. If you're the sort of person who would never in a million years become a freeloader, then you've got to think about how you can help to put pressure on anyone who might be slacking without being unreasonable or unkind. Do think about this, about what you're going to say online or in person to people, to make this work well, to be supportive, constructive and fair in ways that everyone can be comfortable with and feel rewarded by. You can divide the work up so people have different roles, but then you've got to think, well, do we feel that person A is doing as much work as person B when A only has to do this and B's got to do that, that and that? So you might need to negotiate a bit as things work out in practice. You need to know how to get in touch with people. The wiki and the blog should make that extremely easy, and again we'll explain that on Friday at the lecture. But in addition to those online tools, you might want to exchange mobile phone numbers, you might want to exchange email details, you might even want to give each other your living addresses if that's appropriate and acceptable to everybody. And you need to perhaps negotiate over your timetables. Part of the reason we're running this module this way is that different people are taking different modules. We wanted to give you a lot of choice. But it means that it's hard to find a time when everyone can be free. So how are you going to sort that out? It may be that you want to do things in the evening, meet in a social space at somebody's house, or you might manage to do it all virtually. But that again is for you to negotiate and decide, and you can reflect on this and write about it on the blog, which again will be explained on Friday. So your first main sort of milestone, and I'll talk a bit more about the milestones when I meet you, and you'll see them on the blog, But it's to produce a proposal, an outline, so that you don't go off doing things which are not going to work, and I can give you a bit of guidance and feedback on those. So you need to identify who you are, what you're talking about, what you're researching, what reading you're going to do or have already done, what questions, what methods, what data, what methods of analysis, and how you're going to present your project. And there is lots of material already on the wiki about all of these things, but you can add to this, and you can prompt me to add to it by asking me questions or asking for resources or asking for links to things. That's the idea of this interactive mode that we've decided to use. So the bones of all of this should be available to you now, but I can add to it if you ask me to, within reason. I'm not going to do your projects for you, they're for you to do for yourselves. So your project proposals will need to include who you are, what the title of your project is, what your aims and questions are, what your data is, what method you're using, and a bibliography. And that's what I shall want to see very soon, around about week 2, so that I can respond to it around about week 3 and let you know that what you're planning to do is going to be, in my view, a workable project. I might have some suggestions as well. This will all be part of something called the Group Learning Agreement, but again, we'll talk about that some more on Friday. In semester 2, as I said, the groups dissolve. You think of an individual project. Often this is a follow-up to what you've just done, but sometimes people say, I've had enough of that topic, I've read all I want to read about that particular thing, I'd like to do something different, and that's okay, provided it's negotiated with your tutor. Again, you'll need to submit a project plan to your tutor. That won't be me in semester 2 because I'm on study leave, but somebody from the English language team will be supporting and supervising each of these little projects. You do it during semester 2 under guidance from your tutor, and then you write it up within semester 2 as well, so it doesn't distract you in the Easter vacation when you're doing other sorts of assessed work. We've staggered the deadlines here, so this particular project is done within semester 2 and handed in by week 11. That assessed work, as I say, is a project report of 3,000 words, covering, again, the same areas that I've already mentioned. What you've read, what your questions are, how you've investigated the research, the study, how you've done it, what your data is, what the results are, what the conclusion is. There's a lot more about this in the textbook and on the wiki, and I'll be adding to the wiki, of course, during semester 1, so that you've got more to go on in semester 2 as well. This represents the way we've divided this up. So it's not week by week, every week there's a lecture, every week there's a seminar, or even every other week. You choose how to use your time so that by the end of week 4 you have reached the first milestone. By the end of week 7 you've reached the second, and by the end of week 10 you're ready to present your project in week 11. So they're loose deadlines and week allocations, because you can choose when to do the work, but you must meet the milestones. I do want to see your project proposal round about week 3 and to respond to it by week 4, and I do want to see your update in week 7. So what happens now? Well, you come to the lecture and learn a lot more about how to use this interactive virtual medium. You can have a look around the blog, have a look around the wiki, and most of all, I hope you really enjoy this opportunity to direct your own learning. It's very guided, very structured, but there is quite a lot of freedom for you to identify what matters to you and to carry it out as you want to. So I really, really hope it'll work. I'm quite enthusiastic about it. We've put a lot of work into it over the summer. That's myself mainly, and the lead e-learning support is Bill Miller. And both of us have tried really hard to work out what will work in doing this module in this way. And we think you're going to really enjoy it, and we're really going to enjoy working with you on it.